In this video, I'm going to launch a quintuple satellite launcher. So this is my basic rocket. I'm using a thrust plate design that I found online, which is basically 5 metal plates and 4 I-beams to attach all the rockets at the bottom, and they drop off asparagus style. And then on the top, you'll see a node with 5 satellites attached to it, and then the 6th node is attached to the rocket itself. Now for the rocket, I did put a remote guidance unit on it, so it can fly itself even after it's launched all its payloads, which I think is a little bit better than my previous method of attaching tiny rockets to the final stage and then deorbiting that way. So I can actually deorbit it and make sure it deorbits instead of just hoping it does. However, it doesn't have any batteries on it except for whatever's internal to the remote guidance unit itself. So I did have to put some solar panels onto the rocket. And I'm not going to mess with circularizing at first. I'm just going to go straight into the elliptical orbit to get up to the altitude I want to launch the satellites at. Now, my original plan was to stay in this elliptical orbit with the launcher, and then each satellite would then circularize itself once launched, and that way I could have a formation following the same orbit. However, I realized a little bit too late that I didn't actually put enough propulsion on the satellites in order to do all that. So instead of messing around with that, I ended up making a bunch of different orbits and launching a satellite each one. So that's what I'm doing here, just deciding what to do. Ended up going around once more before looking at my satellite again. And here you can see extending all the solar panels, making sure that everything is activated. The dish and the 3 instruments that I put on there and the antenna are all completely useless. There is absolutely no point to them whatsoever, but they're fun to put on. Eventually, hopefully, they do something. And there she goes. I'm decoupling them manually, and I'm making sure that the decoupler remains attached to my rocket instead of flying around or remaining attached to the satellite. So, after I reposition it a little bit and play around with the new satellite, see what I can do with it, I end up going back to my other rocket and going around once more. I circularize my orbit at this altitude, making sure that the other side is about the same altitude as this one. That's about right. I do my burn, and since I'm asymmetric with my payload, the weight distribution, it actually, I constantly have to adjust my thrust because the SAS module and the internal navigation can't handle it even if it's on. But I finally get to the right orbit. I launch all of I extend all of the solar panels, open all of the communication dishes, all little gadgets I put on there for no reason whatsoever. And then I decouple. Face it towards Kerbin. And I wait until I get to the other side and do the identical elliptical orbit except in the opposite direction as the first satellite I launched. So here I am just doing the burn. As you can see, I'm pretty low on fuel, but I actually had enough to do most of what I wanted to do. And here I am, choosing the satellite, extending all the solar panels on it. Oh, Actually, I launched this one first and then I extended everything, which I had to do not necessarily fairly quickly, but before it ran out of power. Don't remember why I did it that way. I think it was just for fun or something. And I face it towards Kerbin, go back to my rocket, and this time I go around once and deorbit, well, not deorbit, but reduce my elliptical down to a low Kerbin orbit. Once I face in the right direction, do my burn. Again, I'm asymmetric with my mass, so I keep having to adjust manually. And I extend everything on that satellite and launch it. Making sure I face forward. And off it goes. I turn it to face towards Earth, or Kerbin. Switch back to my rocket. And this time around, I'm just going to launch this one at the same altitude because I have almost no fuel left. And here's where I made a bit of a mistake. I completely forgot that I just launched that and crashed right into it. But I figure, oh well, I launched 4 successfully, the 5th one, it's whatever. Use up all the fuel I have to make sure that I'm going to land in the ocean. And then I check out and make sure that this satellite's still functioning, which it actually is. It only lost 2 solar panels and 1 antenna, and I don't need those 2 solar panels. 1 solar panel is enough for something this size, which is nice. So I don't have to mess with it.